Welcome to our next Level 1 Chance and Data video. In this video, we're chatting about two-way tables. Now we're getting straight into our example for the video. A survey was conducted with a sample of some Year 9 students at a particular high school. The results have been placed into the following two-way table. So we've got some males, females, and those that own an iPad and those that don't own an iPad. Let's quickly add up how many males. 5 plus 25 make 30. And 7 plus 23 make 30 females. So we have 30 males and 30 females. Let's now go across the table and look at those that own an iPad, 5 males, 7 females, 12 students, and those that do not own an iPad to make 48 students. So now we could add up the 30 males and 30 females to make sure we've got 60 students altogether and double check that our 12 students that own an iPad and 48 that don't own also add up to 60 students. Right, let's get into our questions. Part A, what's the probability a student owns an iPad? Well, there are 60 students and 12 of them own an iPad, so we can write it as 12 over 60, or simplify it to a fifth, or write it as a decimal or a percentage if we prefer. Alright, part B, what's the probability a student is a female that does not own an iPad? Well, again, there's 60 students and 23 of them are females that don't own an iPad. So we're going to write it as a fraction, 23 out of 60, or convert it to a decimal or a percentage. Part C, if a student was a male, what's the probability he does not own an iPad? Now, we've put a condition on this, if the student was a male. So we're not interested in all 60 students anymore. We're only focusing on the 30 males. So out of the 30 males, what's the probability he does not own an iPad? Well, there's 25 of them out of the 30. So we're going to write it out of 30, not 60. And we're going to say 25 out of 30. Or we could simplify it to 5, 6, or write it as our decimal or percentage. All right, part D. If the student owned an iPad, what's the probability they were a female student? So again, there's a condition on this. If the student owned an iPad. So we're not interested in all 60 students. We're only interested in those students that own an iPad, these 12. What's the probability they're a female student? Well, there's 7 of them. So we're going to say 7 females out of the 12 that own an iPad were female. All right, let's get on to a couple of tricky questions to finish. Based on a survey from this class, if the school had 800 students, how many students would you expect to own an iPad? Well, we worked out the probability a student owning an iPad in a previous question. There's 12 of them that own an iPad out of 60. We're going back to all 60 students because there's no condition on this. So 20% chance a student owns an iPad. Let's look at our expected value again. Expected value is probability times the number of trials. So we're going to take the probability, which is 20%, or I'm going to use the decimal 0.2, and I'm going to multiply it by the number of trials, which is 800 students. So 0.2 times 800 gives us 160 students. We expect 160 students out of the 800 to own an iPad. All right, our last question, a little tricky one to finish. What is the probability that 2 randomly chosen students from the school own an iPad? Well, once again, we've already worked out the probability of a student owning an iPad. That's the probability a student owns an iPad, 20%. Now, let's link this into our probability trees, because if we draw a probability tree, we've got this diagram here, those that own one and those that don't own one. We're interested in 2 students, one student and another student owning an iPad. So what do we do with these probabilities? We multiply them, remember? We multiply the 2 probabilities, 12 out of 60 over times 12 out of 60 gives us 144 out of 3,600, which gives us 4%. Remember, we could have used the 20% and times it by 20%. 20 over 100 times 20 over 100 gives us the same thing. Right, thanks so much for watching.